Okay, Skeleton Crew episode 2. This one basically starts off right where the last episode left off. The kids are just being released out of jail with Jude Law's character. He's kind of like coercing them into certain things, and you can tell right away this guy's up to no good, right? Like, I'm not the only one who thought this at this point. It seems that the kids kind of don't have the same recollection of Jedi that we do as viewers, being that it's set after the Luke Skywalker time. It seems these kids believe that Jedis are just a regular thing and it's not really like a mythological or are they Jedis? Do they exist? Where have they been? So you can kind of tell here at this point that their society doesn't really know about much what else is going on with the Empire and stuff like that. Jude Law's character, which his name is Jod, I believe, continues to try to convince the kids that he's there to help and he needs to get to their home world or needs to help them get there. But Fern, one of the main characters, doesn't really trust him, and rightfully so. I get your vibe, Fern. That guy seems weird. He does ultimately get the kids to their ship and tries to blast off, in which they say they can't leave anyone behind. Of course, they don't want to leave behind their robot. So they convince him to go back for the robot. Multiple times they keep referring to him as a Jedi, but he never actually says he's a Jedi up until this point. And right now, I'm pretty convinced the guy acting like that is not a Jedi. But he goes back to get the robot anyway to appease the children so he can have a smooth ride to wherever it is he's trying to go. He does manage to get the robot and he is chased by the people on that outpost because he is a prisoner that is escaping. We do get a little bit of information on that his trial was coming soon and he was somebody's captain at one point. I'm pretty sure he was the guy from the first episode. I'm still banking on that. Seen it coming from a mile away. Back on the ship, all the kids have their different opinions on Jod and what he's about. Of course, Fern is the skeptical one. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't believe him at all. Always got to have one of those. Wim, he's the optimistic guy. He thinks he's a Jedi. He thinks he's there to help. He sees him as an adult and he really believes in him. Of course, Neil, who is his best friend, kind of just goes along with what he says because he believes in him as his friend. Last episode, I said that we really didn't get much out of KB. Well, not as much as the other characters, but in this one, we do get a little bit more development, and her small bits of conversations with Jod do kind of fleshing her character out a little bit. She explains that the probability of him being a Jedi is kind of low, so she kind of understands something else is up here and she doesn't trust him. And we start to see her really separate herself from the rest of the children on the way she operates and thinks, which is good because I was waiting for her to get developed a little more. And I am interested. Jod takes these kids over to an observer, someone who can help them find their home planet or help him find the home planet in the treasure, someone who doesn't really trust him. And we get this character who looks very much just like an owl, but interesting for an observer. Owl fits, right? I believe the owl character's name was Kayim. I'm gonna go with that for now. I'll correct myself on the next one if that's wrong. But Kayim doesn't trust Jod at all. She actually refers to him as Crimson Jack, which might be another clue to something I need to look into. But she calls on some X-Wings from the Alliance to come pick up the kids. And she basically tries to stall Jod so he doesn't find their home planet. Which here we get a little bit more lore, a little bit unraveling to the mystery that this planet Aden that they were from was cut off from the rest of the Federation and the Empire. They didn't really know about the war because the kids referred to Alderaan, which we know was destroyed by the Death Star. So they're really out of the loop when it comes to the war and everything that happened. I don't even think they know about Vader or Luke or anything like that. They're really going off of old Republic things and old Republic credits and an old Republic civilization that never really touched this. Now, why their planet was hidden, that's still a mystery. And that's why this show is so great because they give you just enough to keep you going and say, I knew that, but not too much to where you say, all right, I figured the whole thing out and I'm done. At this time, Jod or Crimson Jack or Jude Law, whatever you want to call him, beats the crap out of the owl lady. I mean, he actually physically fights the owl lady. It was pretty sad and I just felt bad for her. But of course, she doesn't die. And KB has a small conversation with her before she leaves. And she tells her, if you do need help, reach out to me. So later, we probably will see something with that. Also, there was a part before they walked into the owl lady's lair. I skipped over it, but I'm going to go back to it now. There was a scene where Jude Law's character, Jod, told the kids that this lady may backstab them. And he said, not in a literal sense, but you'll understand when you get older. Now, I don't know if they plan to shoehorn any of these characters into future films. You know, we got The Mandalorian and Grogu and some more films coming out with the Not Skywalker saga continuation or whatever they're doing. There's all kinds of plans. But I'm thinking this line may come back later. We may see some of these children in an older form later on, and this line might come back up. It just seemed like something that would come back up in this show or in another show or further on in the future to me. It was just one of those lines. To me, that's how I felt. Just speculation. I could be completely wrong. The X-Wing fighters show up to capture Jod and rescue the kids, and Jod convinces them that they need his help. He wants to help them get back to the planet. He never said he was a Jedi. He explains to them this. We don't know if he really has force powers, but he seems like he really does have some type of force sensitivity. Maybe it's just tricks. I don't know yet. He convinces the kids to help him. He teaches them little things on the ship to help him get out of there, fire on the X-Wing fighters, and basically escape, in which they all agree at the time, but they don't really trust him. So it's going to be interesting to see where this next episode goes. This episode was directed by David Lowery, and overall, I liked it. The pacing and everything felt very cinematic, very movie-like. It kept me captured the whole time, the whole 40 or so minutes that it was. Some of the backdrops when they went to visit Kyrim on the planet were kind of very just generic, and it's just like, hey, we're just gonna throw a moon in the back, green screen looking. It looked kind of cheesy, to be honest, but everything else was pretty good. And like I said, the pacing and the development of the characters in this one was just enough. We got a lot more out of KB. We got a lot more out of Jod. We got a little bit of world building. We understand that this planet was cut off for a reason, and they don't really know about everything else that's going on. We did get a brief scene with the parents at the beginning to show their concern, which was good because they do all have parents and seem to be in a sort of wealthy middle class type of life. So these kids should be being looked for. Overall, I give this episode maybe a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to watch it again. It's keeping me going. This show at this point is really good. I know it has the E.T. vibe. It has the Goonies vibe. It has all those 80s children's movie vibes. It really reminds me of Super 8 from J.J. Abrams, but it is good. This is a good show. It borrows off of Star Wars concepts and ideas, but it doesn't rely on them, which makes it stand alone independently. But you also get little Easter eggs here and there, and I'm curious to look around and see what else everyone has found when watching this episode. But I'll be in for episode 4. Episode 3 to me was great, and I'm happy to see more. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments.